Friday afternoon again, and we're back with episode 5 of Out of the Blue. Huge thanks to those of you that have watched the first 4 episodes and have been in contact with us with some great feedback and lots of questions as well. Those questions are really helping us form future episodes of the show, and it's great to know the sorts of things that you're interested in and the questions that you want some answers to. So today, really excited to be chatting about search engine optimization, or SEO. What is it? And why is it important for your schools? We're joined by a specialist in the topic, Andrew Mailer from Dark Horse Agency. As ever, I'll be back at the end with all the important information and actually some really exciting information about next week's show. So in the meantime, grab a brew, sit back, enjoy the conversation, and I'll see you soon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Out of the Blue. Hi, David. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Mark.
We're joined today by Andrew Mailer from Dark Horse. Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
Thanks
Howdy,
for joining
Andrew.
us. Sorry, David.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us on our Friday afternoon coffee break. And Andrew, you're here today to chat to us about search engine optimization. And we'll get onto that in a minute. But first things first, as you know, when we have guests on our show, we always ask them to provide a school photo, which you've resolutely failed to do and sent us a photograph of sports day, it would appear. There's no school uniform. You've let us down, to be honest.
Although it does look, by the expression on your face, like you need the toilet. I'm sorry.
Well,
There's definitely a straining in the jaw muscles there.
I don't know how you can see the expression on the face, because Andrew's obscured by these two handsome chaps in the foreground, and he's way back in the background there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, you're quite right, Mark. Yeah.
This was my favourite subject, fair to say, at school. So I thought I would share an image of me in my element.
In your prime, yeah.
You mean Manchester United?
With a hand-me-down Manchester United shirt as well. It's a cruel world, isn't it?
We really aren't going to get onto chats about football loyalties, mainly because I'm a Tranmere Rovers fan and I always find myself wanting somewhat in that conversation. Andrew, you've joined us today to talk about search engine optimization, SEO, as we've called it in the title. And that's something that we don't necessarily get asked about a lot. Clients tend to talk to us about problems that they've got, which is that their website can't be found on Google. Parents aren't finding their website readily when they're looking for schools in a particular area. And in those cases, we've often introduced them to you and you've been able to help them out. So for those people that perhaps don't really have a great understanding of search engine optimization, and I include David and myself in that group, talk us through what it is basically and why our schools should care about it.
Okay, yeah, certainly. So SEO, or search engine optimization, it's the ongoing attention that a website needs to ensure that it's performing as best it can in the modern landscape. Many people think like having a website is enough, and it's out there, it's on the internet, and that's fine. Ultimately, there's so many changes, algorithm updates, and evolutions within the internet landscape from the search engines that you always need to be on top of it and making constant forward progress. In the most laymanistic way, I liken it to going to the gym. The more you go to the gym, the healthier you are, the fitter you are. If you stop going to the gym, you will get out of shape. Other people will become fitter than you. So that is a kind of likening it to a real world scenario, I guess. So there's 3 different aspects that we look at for SEO, search engine optimization, and this is how we view modern SEO at Dark Horse. So you've got the technical aspects, ensuring that the site is functioning correctly. Content is a key aspect. So this is where you'd see your kind of keywords, and keywords might be the one thing that people associate with SEO, but there is far more than that. And then we have digital PR, which is effectively the promotion of content and link building in the most kind of the simplest terms. So we always start from a technical standpoint. And again, may have a new website that's built, and it's a case of there will always be things that aren't optimized for SEO or that will need to be changed and tweaked, because the web development isn't SEO as such. So it's a case of a nice website isn't always, or a beautiful looking website isn't always a functionally SEO optimized website. So really is a case of, like I say, ensuring technically that everything is in the right place. All of the pages go somewhere, they're all linked back somewhere. You've got a really good structure of the website. There's a hierarchy, and effectively kind of like the pyramid, that we know that the home page is the main page, and then all of the menus are kind of structured correctly, and you've not got a flat structure on the website. I think all too often with a simple website, you see a really flat structure, and it's very hard for Google to understand what is most important within that website.
Can I just ask a question there, Andrew? So why is that important to Google? What is it about? So you're talking about the technical aspects of SEO now, and some of the things that you've mentioned. Then why is that important? So you're talking about a flat structure and a hierarchical structure. Get my words out. Why is that important? How does Google use that, or on a very basic level? What does that mean to a school?
So it's a case of Google. The way to look at Google is it's not a search engine. It's bots that are crawling websites, and they're doing it incredibly quickly. Google will have a crawl budget that it wants to use for any given search query. So the quicker and the easier and the better that you can meet the needs and kind of answer the question that has been asked of Google will like you more as a website, and rank you better as a result of that. So ensuring, like say, that technically the website's quick, like none of the links are broken, you've got all the kind of the meta descriptions and your H1 tags in the right place, and like say you've got that structure. It's like an easy map for Google to read then. In the case of, it's much clearer for it to follow the sat nav as such, instead of just have somebody shouting a load of random directions at it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I like that. So basically, by improving or optimizing all that the structure of your site, the technical aspects of your site, it allows Google to find it and search the information on that site, and then present the user with that information more quickly and more efficiently. So it will choose that site over another one that isn't as well set up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the interesting thing, so Google within the UK accounts for 93% of searches as a search engine. So it pretty much dominates. Bing is around 5%, so on the Microsoft network. But ultimately, the kind of the job that we are here to do as an SEO agency is to first and foremost please Google, because that is the main factor and kind of, I guess, why we're turning up every day. We can't forget the user also, but 9 times out of 10, if you're doing things in the right structure and the right format, that falls in line with kind of like a human's ability to understand and interpret and follow as well.
Andrew, there was an explanation of SEO I heard once that I really liked, and it was certainly at a time where I think I was first introduced to SEO and was trying to really understand how it worked. And someone equated it to in the school environment, a school spending the time to design a prospectus, making it beautiful, having something that was great, and then that prospectus being kept in the storeroom of a school and nobody being able to see it. And they were saying, you wouldn't do that. What you would do as a school then is you'd think about the ways that you could distribute that prospectus and get it into the hands of a prospective parent so that they could, so that it would start to work. So, I mean, I see SEO as that sort of, okay, you've taken the time to design your beautiful website and it looks great. SEO is that same process. It's the way that you can get parents, whoever those parents are, to see it. So my question is, what information do you need from a school to understand who needs to see their website and how that becomes visible? Is there a process that you go through for that?
Yeah, so we would look at doing some kind of deep diving into keyword research and looking at the website, the landscape, the competitors, what the offering is. Some schools are obviously incredibly broad. You go from early years and nursery and through to senior years, but it really is a case of finding out exactly what keywords are needed in that circumstance, and then building out from there and being able to cater for the funnel effectively. So there's people that will be in a different stage of the journey. So when you're looking at the keywords and the content strategy, it's important not to forget some of the questions that might be asked very early on. How important is it that my child goes to the right primary school? For example, might be a very long, incredibly upper funnel, but to have a content strategy within your SEO campaign, which is catering for these queries, gives you an opportunity to capture the queries, rank for that, get traffic, and it's all about being an authority on what you do and what you offer. And the more that you can emphasize that, reinforce that, and like I say, then please Google technically and from a keyword perspective, the better that you will be ranked. And like I say, it is a case of it's shifting all the time. You never quite know what your competitor's doing. You never quite know what the next algorithm's doing. But there's a real kind of core that you need to kind of constantly be working at. And like I say, the next biggest shift for Google will be the transition over a number of years to artificial intelligence. So it's going to start to want to have information presented in a different way, and it's going to want to start to understand things differently. And as we look at search habits, it's not just typing on a keyboard anymore. It's Alexa, it's Siri. There's a whole different raft of digital things that are being thrown into the mix as well. So there's a real kind of consideration that needs to be given to all of these evolutions within the digital landscape. And as you say, that the great thing that you kind of referencing prospectuses, the great thing about the website is that it can evolve almost immediately. You can make those changes, you can kind of get it updated, and it can change direction. Your print material and some of your other marketing channels don't have that kind of agile, reactive nature to it. And whilst it is a process, and if there was something that you said, right, I really want to go and rank number one for this, first we'd work out the commercial benefit of actually going after that potential traffic. But there really is that ability to change things overnight and have a completely different look and a different tone of voice, or do testing and experimentation. So like I say, I think the website is such a vital platform for a school. It might not be the first visual that somebody has of the school. It may be that they walk past and they see the school daily, but within that research process, it's then when you're on the sofa with your cup of tea and you're in that mood to kind of digest and learn about it, you want it to be a pleasant experience, to build trust, build confidence, and help the parent make that decision to think, you know what, this is where I want my child to go. And that is then supported, like as you say, with your prospectuses and some of the other marketing activity as well.
I think what I've realised since working with you is that both Mark and I, being of a certain age now, is that we had an opinion on SEO, which I probably won't share here. But it was that it's something that you could do once and you set it up and you just leave it. You don't really need to do it on an ongoing basis. But I quite like the analogy you gave of going to the gym, that yes, you can get to a certain level of performance, we'll say. And then if you don't maintain that, that starts to drop off and you start to slide back down and not be at your peak anymore. And I like that with the SEO, that it is something that needs to be maintained, and it is something that has to be done on an ongoing basis, because other people are perfecting their SEO, but also the search engines, Google, are changing the parameters, if that's the right word to use there, and their algorithms on how things perform and how they present that information. I know there's been quite a big one recently with them. So it's really interesting. I'm finding it more interesting despite my...
Sorry if you heard my dog do a little...
my
little
age. Yeah, it's... I do find it more interesting now. And obviously, I know you guys do our SEO as well with us. And the difference, I can see the difference that makes, in the background. And I just want to come back to the keywords. I think everybody knows what keywords are, but I think there's a bit more to keywords than just a word that, primary school, for example. It's more about the phrases and the search terms that people actually type in or say when they're looking for something that are quite important, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And keyword stuffing, or kind of SEO of years gone by, is not a tactic that works nowadays. Google sees it as spammy and would effectively punish or restrict a website that was keyword stuffing.
So say keyword stuffing was when you had a website that at the bottom would literally just list as many keywords as they could think of as part of the content.
But potentially not even that, but it might be a case of we are a primary school in your area. We are the best primary school. As a primary school, we have the best results of any primary school that are within the postcode. We really are a primary school for all families. So, and it's just that almost robotic type repetition. Yeah. And you'll still see it someplace on the internet. But as I said, as Google's making its shifts and changing and becoming a little bit more human, there's natural language is one of the things that is now at the forefront of content, how we should be considering the writing. And like I say, it's incorporating those keywords in a way that is, like I say, it's how you would speak it or talk it in a conversation. And like I say, it isn't just... There's a lot more opportunities to capture traffic when you look around the keyword than kind of just looking specifically at the keyword. And sometimes we have to find the other routes to go after it based on competition and I guess the time and effort that it would take for a certain keyword in some circumstances.
Sorry, I was going to say there's a number of times when we've been working with schools, and you've sort of come back to us and said, okay, there's a requirement here to create a landing page, a specific landing page on the website. Just sort of talk some of our viewers and our clients through the reasoning behind that, why that's important and what that does.
So for us, so this is kind of going off a little bit into some of the paid admissions activity that we've kind of worked with you guys on. We see the landing page as the best way to measure the success of that one campaign, because you're driving traffic to a sole location where there is a very simple call to action. Sorry. So that's quite a good segue for me to kind of talk about some of the things that we see with school websites, and some of the things that we experience. And I think admissions is a really interesting one to bring up, because we'd love to use the websites because there's value in all of the traffic going to the main websites, that main URL, because it helps the SEO. From my view, when we look at kind of schools' admission pages, they're quite loose and open, and they've not got the teeth that I think a lot of other industries or sectors would have in looking to capture that lead, get the customer into the funnel, and then have that admissions process. So
they're not really commercially focused in terms of driving a user to take a certain journey and to sign up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you on that. Like you say, it's a case of you'll go on some admissions pages, and there might be 4 or 5 phone numbers. There may be a form, a PDF that you might download and print off at home. There could be a form that is requesting the details. Many of the forms request a lot of information as well, and you've got to put your own consumer hat on. That if you're interested in something, it needs to be a simple process. You want to feel like it's managed and it's controlled, and that ultimately you don't want it to take forever. So if there's a better way of handling that process through the website, then I think there's a lot of value for a school to explore that within the website, because it's a great way to be able to test it and change it and make those changes kind of almost overnight sometimes.
I think this actually would lead us on to many other topics, which we definitely should do in another episode. But as part of that admissions, and as we're talking about admissions, I think a lot of the state sector schools would say, well, the local authority look after our admissions, so we don't really have to do that. But actually what you're saying is, if you have a dedicated admissions landing page or page on the site, you can still direct that user to take a particular action, and that might be to get that school as the first choice in the local authority. So there's still very much a requirement of directing a user through a journey, a longer journey, to complete an end goal. Even though, in that case, it would be the local authority admissions application process, there still should be a way of capturing that lead, that user, their information, and pushing them towards a certain direction to make the school first choice.
Like I say, controlling that process, I think could be certainly done better, and it kind of leads me into, I'm self-fueling myself with questions and points here. So, but Mark's not able to ask me anything. Sorry, Mark. It kind of leads me on to, I guess, how you're using your website and the tracking and the data that you're getting from your website. So Google Analytics is an absolute must. It's Google's free platform. It's a code that goes on the website. You have a Google Suite login, which can be the same as your others. Ultimately, that's Google's way of sharing the data, basically, on the performance. There's goals and metrics, and there's things that you can report on with Google Analytics. So, and then you can make data-led decisions. If you've got 1,000 pages on your website and only 200 of them ever get visited, why do you need 1,000 pages? So that it is such a powerful tool that we use hourly with every single client, because you want that single source of reporting with analytics. Google Search Console is something that's always kind of often overlooked as well. So Search Console will give you your keywords and your rankings. And again, it's a free Google tool. Create the login. There's a code snippet or a validation of the URL that needs to be done, and it will just give you such rich data to then see how hard the website is working for you.
So basically, every school should set up at least their Google Analytics and Google's Search Console. Just so
absolutely.
At any point in time, you can start to look at that data and improve. If we come back to the SEO part, improve the keywords and to look at the pages, which ones are performing better than others.
Yep.
And my mind has just exploded with more questions for you. So we're definitely going to have to do another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been great that we've not really allowed Mark to talk, by the way. It's a really, really good decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it makes my life quite easy, really. It's interesting, Andrew, because you've touched on a number of points that we've been raising in previous episodes of the show, really. And that sort of motivation from schools to get a handle on that admissions process and a recognition that they can. I talk quite a lot in my masterclass about just giving schools confidence in that, and a recognition that actually you've had a website for years that may well not have done a great job for you in terms of driving pupils into the school. But you can gain some confidence that with some changes and with a focus on why it's there and what you're trying to achieve, it can be changed and it can work. And I think the Google Analytics, et cetera, and that feeding of information, so schools actually just become aware. Most schools don't know that people are on the website, and if they do, who those people are. So having a form that they fill in, again, is something that is so important.
And I think if you look at that from a print prospectus point of view, if you knew how many pages somebody was looking at of that prospectus, how long they were looking at the page, how deep they read down that page. So there's things that you could track, like scroll depth. So there's information on from a website that you can get that you can't get from any other places. And the great thing about the internet is it's a level playing field. So it really is a case of it's there for you to go out and get the traffic. And like I say, if you do a better job than your competitors online, then you're going to get those inquiries. People are going to fill the forms in, and then you're going to be speaking to more prospective parents, because this is where journeys are starting more often than not. It's in a search engine. It's just the way of the world.
Wow, I have no idea how we're going to put this down to only 3 takeaways for schools today. There's so much information there, and I think once you start to dig into that information a little bit, it just opens up so many avenues to go down. And what could be really important, and is really important, is the brand as well of a school, and how to ensure that is established, and people understand what that brand identity is, and then how that's used on a site, and in terms of visually and its content, and then that website, how well it is set up so it performs well when people are searching, and then and this will just go on and on. So actually it can really understand how all of these elements of branding and marketing and digital marketing and SEO, how everything interacts to make for a better experience to the end user, really. Yeah.
And I think some schools will probably admit to say that they think like it's just a website, probably guilty of saying it's just a website, when it should have the content, the tone of voice. It should be kind of maintained and looked after, and be working as hard as any other aspect. I think three key takeaways, like you say, it's difficult because it just becomes such like one door opens another, and then there's 2 or 3 doors off that one. But I definitely think take advantage of the Google suite of tools, so Analytics and Search Console. If they're not on your site, then you're not getting the information or the data back from the website. The one other key aspect for schools, Google My Business is something that should always be claimed. So you can do that by I think they send a postcard, or you can do a validation through a phone number or an email.
Yeah.
The Google My Business, it gives you that opportunity on the map listings and to be present when people are looking for you. So that should almost be used as a social channel with the updates of the pictures, the updates of the content, anything that's changing. Schools should be seeking reviews. That kind of user-generated reviews and the trust. If your review profile within your Google My Business, that's what Google likes to see, because it shows that people are giving you feedback, you're happy, you should be replying to it, and like I say, just massaging the algorithms of that. I said the great thing when you look at schools is generally there's going to be a location. It will be a near me, or it will be a in this town kind of search. So we know from the data that people are 30% more likely to convert when they're looking, when it's appended with a location or a near me. So to have your Google My Business in really good shape, ensuring that all of the information is accurate and correct, that can help you win on the Google Map Pack. Your reviews count towards that. And ultimately, when people, you'll see it yourselves, if you search for a school, you'll get the map. If you're the top result on the map, likelihood is you're going to get a lot more clicks than the other schools around in the vicinity. So that is definitely, like I say, yeah, Google My Business should be taken seriously also.
Yeah.
And then the third one's probably a little bit techie, but one of the key ways in which Google is wanting to receive information is called structured data, or schema. So just to make it more straightforward, it's got multiple names, such is the way. But so structured data in its most simple form is name, address, phone number, or NAP. I love a NAP. So let's call it NAP. So ensuring that code is in the website, it's got the name, the address, the phone number. Google can read that, and it knows who you are, and that all those details are correct. They should be exactly the same on the website, exactly the same in the Google My Business, and any other local listings of directories, for example. We recently did an audit for a school, and I think they had 3 or 4 different variations of their address across the different things. And they had 2 entrances to school, but ultimately you've got choose one, go with it, and that is the one, because Google just wants that consistency of information. There's then an aspect with structured data and schema where you can have organizational and also educational structured data. So you can tell Google you're a school without it even looking at your website. You could tell it in code behind the scenes that you're a school. Now, if you do that and people are looking for school-based queries, you can do it better than other people that aren't doing it.
Wow, fascinating. Andrew,
I never thought I would be so excited about SEO.
I could literally chat to you all day about it, and I'm sure people watching this will have tons and tons of questions, and we'll encourage everyone to drop questions in the comment section, and we'll certainly bring those back. I think it would be great for you to come back on, Andrew, if you'd be happy to, because I literally could make a list of about 50 questions to ask you from just the things you've talked about today. And despite being a Manchester United fan, you've obviously got a lot of knowledge.
I have no allegiance. That was purely I've Liverpool hand-me-down kits, Man United kits. I wasn't,
yeah,
I was one of those.
Andrew, thanks so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. It has been fascinating. It would be great to get you back on, as we say. And obviously for everyone watching, I'm sure you will have questions. And if you would like some help and would like to develop your own search engine optimization or pick Andrew's brain a little bit more, we'll make sure all of your contact details and ways to get in touch with you are shown at the end as well. So I've run out of tea, so it's about time to say goodbye.
Time to wrap up.
Thanks so
Get
much.
that kettle on.
It was great. It was really good show. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh wow, my head's absolutely fizzing with questions after that conversation with Andrew. And if you feel the same way, please drop some comments down below or drop us an email and let us know what those questions are. We are definitely going to encourage Andrew to come back on a future episode of the show, and it'd be great to answer some specific questions that you might have. A really interesting topic. I think it's really important that we get a handle on that. As you know, at Blue Apple, we're all about trying to give something back to the school community, and we put on our regular school branding identity masterclasses. They are completely free of charge. It's an hour and a half of your time, conducted online, and you'll learn a huge amount about school marketing and communications. It's a really great starting point for any school business manager, deputy head teacher, or anyone that wants to try and get control of marketing and communications in their school. If you like what you've seen today, please do like and subscribe. Tell your friends and colleagues where we are so that they can come and find us and they can get something from the show as well. Next week, we're going to be joined by expert school photographer Andy Cattrall. And he's going to be sharing his experience and tips on how to produce images that really capture the character and the nature of your school, and ultimately images that win the hearts and minds of parents and other audiences. I'm sure it's going to be a great conversation. Please do join us 4 o'clock next Friday. Thanks for joining us today. Stay remarkable, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching Out of the Blue, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and leave a comment below, and please ring the bell for notifications. I hope I will see you again soon. Bye!